Hey y'all, and welcome back to Getting Digital with Deja. Mm. So, you guys, this is part 4 to our Crypto 101 series, and today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin as a network. I know in my previous video we talked about Bitcoin as a system. Now I'm going to explain to you how the Bitcoin network works, just like putting it all together, and what a peer-to-peer network is as well. So instead of a governing body or a centralized organization like a bank, Bitcoin is actually run completely off of computers, and these computers have this Bitcoin specific software installed on those computers, and all of those computers working together to send and receive Bitcoins is what we call a Bitcoin network. Okay, so let's go over the textbook definition of a network. And so it's going to be a network is a bunch of computers linked together, allowing them to exchange data with each other. Essentially. So there are two ways that a network can be like arranged. So one way is the client server, and the second way is the peer-to-peer network. Now we're going to go over both today, but Bitcoin operates on a peer-to-peer network, and so does all the rest of crypto, which is why it's considered decentralized, because peer-to-peer literally means peer-to-peer, you to I, me to you, bada bing, bada boom. Now let's go over the textbook definition for client-server network, and that is going to be when there is one centralized computer called the server that acts as a hub to which other computers called clients are connected. Data is requested by computers known as clients, such as PCs and smartphones, and are served by computers called servers. That was pretty easy, right? So these are used by like banks and popular payment apps like PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Apple Pay, all those type of things.
So my mic decided to die, but that is okay. I can scream into the camera. Okay, but in 2025, we have like a digitalized system of banking, right? So you can literally bank from your phone, from a mobile app. And your phone that you're using to withdraw money, send money, deposit money, anything like that, that is going to be called a client. And this client, which is your mobile phone, is going to be trying to request services from the server. And that server is going to be the bank. The bank is going to be the one controlling that server. Now, let me tell you about this. If that server shuts down or is hacked or anything goes wrong with that, the entire network, the entire system shuts down. So, if they have like Chase had a lot of fraud and stuff, and their system getting hacked into and things like that. And so that made their clients, which are the people who bank with them, it made them unable to receive any services because the server was down, because it's one centralized server. And that's for any bank, any bank. So to make this like easier to understand, I have a really good example. Really weird, but really good example. Say it's this lady, and she's the soup lady, right? And she makes all the soup for the community. Everybody comes to her every day and gets their soup, which contains all their nutrients and everything they need to live, right? Now, one day, the soup lady disappears. Who knows what happened to the soup lady, right? Now, nobody gets any soup because there's only one soup lady. So people are going out without their nutrients, without their food. They're going hungry. They're going through all this trouble trying to find other resources to be able to get that soup, to get some food in their bellies, but they really can't because all their soup and everything they have is tied up into this soup lady. They put all their faith in the soup lady because they thought the soup lady was gonna always be there and always act right and always do the things that she needs to do, but life happens and things are out of our control. And so sometimes the soup lady might be tired and she don't want to feel like coming to work one day. I'm just saying, because there's one centralized person giving out that soup, everybody has to rely on that soup. And if something bad happens to the person who's giving out that soup, the server, then everybody's really just like shit out of luck. So if you keep all of your money in the bank, just everything that you have in the bank, if the bank goes down, if that server goes down, you will not be able to withdraw a dime. You won't be able to send a dime. It'll just probably have a little message at the top when you log in talking about our system is down. Please come back later when we have things up and running. What am I supposed to do with that? Y'all just took all my money and I can't do nothing. And y'all talking about come back in a few hours. No, baby, I'm trying to buy my dinner right now. I'm trying to go do my Pilates class right now. I need the money right now. So let's talk about the peer-to-peer network, which is what crypto runs completely off of. It's a decentralized network, okay? There's no central system. And on top of that, with peer-to-peer network, there are no servers. There are just computers that are called nodes. And we went over that in my previous video. I hope you guys are following the videos in chronological order. But we went over that in my last video, and nodes are essentially just computers that have that specific software like on that computer, that specific Bitcoin software on that computer, and that is going to be called a node. So let's go over the textbook definition for a peer-to-peer network. And it's, instead of servers and clients, computers are simply known as nodes since they can function as both client and servers. A peer-to-peer network is created when two or more computers are connected and exchange data with each other without going through a separate server computer or a centralized system. So in a peer-to-peer network, computers are able to communicate and talk to each other directly. There's no interference. And an example, like the most famous example of a peer-to-peer network, is going to literally be the internet. So everyone is connected to each other, which makes it a network, and everyone on that network are equal to each other, so they're considered peers. So that's where the peer-to-peer network comes from. Everybody is equally has the same power on this network, essentially. So everybody essentially has the same rights, can perform the same duties, and everybody are considered peers because they can act as clients or they can act as servers, okay? There's no centralized point to where anything can go wrong. There is no centralized point of failure with peer-to-peer networks because there's so many people in the network, it's going to continue to go on. But when you have one centralized system, one centralized server, so much can go wrong, and that is going to be the centralized point of failure. So I may be getting a little redundant, but I just want to let y'all know that peer-to-peer network is a totally decentralized network, okay? And that is what Bitcoin runs off of. The Bitcoin network is a peer-to-peer decentralized network. And when you say peer-to-peer, usually it will say P2P network. They don't even say peer-to-peer, it's just P2P. So when you see that in like the crypto language and things like that, that's literally what that means. So in the real world, a peer-to-peer network like the internet or just like the Bitcoin network and things like that, it looks much like a spider web. You have lines of communication going through so many directions, so much data being sent in so many directions, right? But when you have like a centralized system, like a digital banking system, you have one little centralized point right here, and then you'll have a whole bunch of lines just going out. So it's not really like a spider web, okay? It's not as intricate. Just being realistic with the peer-to-peer network, not all of the computers can directly correlate and talk to each other and communicate with each other and share data, because the world is literally so big. There's so many computers, there's so many interferences that can happen as well. But for the most part, in peer-to-peer networks, all of the computers can like compute directly to each other. Now you guys, I have a super fun fact for you guys. So technically the Bitcoin network cannot be shut down because it's not run by a centralized system. But because it's not run by a centralized system, the government could easily require that every single node or computer that has the Bitcoin software on it would require licensing to be able to continue to use that software and to do transactions and things in the world. Now, because that would be such a robust and complicated process and probably a little bit of an expensive process to get that license to be able to have that Bitcoin software and continue operation, it would become illegal in a sense. So then if you don't have that license, then you're illegally, infiltrating in Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin system. And that can cause a lot of trouble. And you can have fines, you can have jail time. They consider that fraud, they consider that a felony. It's all the type of things that they could do to this. So we have to be very careful when we're thinking Bitcoin is totally decentralized. There's always loopholes. The government could totally come in and centralize it so fast, like slap it into next Tuesday, honestly. So we have to remember those things. I don't believe that crypto is going to be decentralized for much longer, because there are so many acts and legislation that's being passed, like the Clarity Act, the Stablecoin Act, all these things like that. We have to really do our due diligence, you guys, as a community, as the Digital Deja community, do our due diligence and read those acts, okay? Actually take the time to sit down and read them. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that I was able to relay this information in a really good, easy way. But you guys, tomorrow we're going to pivot just a little bit. We're going to still be talking about crypto. It's still going to be part of the crypto series, but instead of me necessarily teaching you about crypto, I'm going to be teaching you about ISO 22, which is about to literally come out. So I need to teach y'all everything about it, so when it comes out, y'all understand it, because I love you guys. But yes, you guys, so stay tuned for another video tomorrow, and remember that pretty girls can do crypto too. Toodles.